Hi, everyone. It's Kathy Weidner. You may know me better as Kathy Mills Chang with KMC University. I'm here with one of my longest friends and certainly colleagues, Holly Jensen from Cash Practice. Welcome, Holly.
Thank you so much, Kathy. Pleasure to be here.
How long have you been with Cash Practice officially? Or let's go back to the Miles Bodson
Yeah,
DC
I
days,
mean,
right?
yeah, I started out as a chiropractic assistant for Dr. Mouse Bodson in 2002. So this
Wow.
August, I'll be celebrating my 24th year. So
Wow.
I know you've got decades ahead of me, but I'm
Well,
creeping up.
but that is awesome. Yeah, I think I probably first met you once Cash Practice got started. Which what year would have that been when we first met? That would have been maybe late.
I don't know, I'm almost thinking like 2007.
I was thinking somewhere in that ballpark as well. Um, if you don't know about cash practice systems, you absolutely should. We're going to talk a little bit more about all the reasons why KMC University feels so strongly about how doctors should use them and all of their tools and things to be more compliant and to certainly, as we all like to do, keep more cash and make more money in a good, clean, ethical way while doing a great service to your patients. So I think the first experience I had was when Dr. Miles came to me and said, I want you to look at this system and tell us where we might be, doing things that weren't, unknowingly doing something that was non-compliant. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I absolutely remember that because you've always been an anchor in the profession when it comes to compliance. And so
Thank
we
you.
knew that having your expertise and your eyes on what we're doing would help impact our clients, impact the profession. And so it was a no-brainer for us to go to you and work with you to and now you're on our board of compliance advisors so that when new fun compliance things come out, we can make sure that we're passing that information along and implementing it in our software.
Such a feather in your cap as well. And that's the thing that impressed me the most, I think, about meeting you and Dr. Miles in the beginning was that you cared enough to make sure. And in our profession, that isn't always what we see, right? People
Right.
just jump in.
Especially with our company name being Cash Practice, we get a lot of doctors who come to us and they're like, I want to be a cash-based practice, which means the rules don't apply to me. And we're
That's
like, okay,
exactly
really?
right. Yeah.
Like,
Let me give you a reality check, sir.
yeah.
Exactly. I'm with you. Well, I know that as the original tool that is your care plan calculator has been through many permutations, I'm sure, as
Yes.
with our library. Um, you know, to me, it is honestly the most no-brainer thing that a doctor can do because what I'd love to hear your opinion on, and I know this is ingrained in you, is why is that report of findings, financial report of findings pair so incredibly important?
That's such a great question, Kathy. And I think, there's some practices that know like there is a clinical report of findings, and you should not mix your financials in that until you have a strong yes from the patient. Yes,
Mm,
I can commit to the treatment plan. Yes, I want the results of the goal of care. So there's lots of these yeses. But when it's very clear delineation of when the financial component comes into play, it really helps the doctor and the team and the patient really bridge that gap between the communication side of the financials and the communication side of the clinicals. So if there's not a system that's being followed, that's where we see a lot of patients like, let me think about it by the time they get up to the front desk.
right. Or worse yet, they've committed to the doctor, and then perhaps a team member comes in to share the financial report of findings, and they say, I want to think about it. Well, if there's not that commitment, I know one of my favorite lines has always been in training, and I know you do a lot more of this than I do anymore, but that CA having the freedom to say, I'm so sorry, I don't have the ability or the permission to change your treatment plan. Let me go get the doctor.
Yeah,
then
and it
they can,
surprises me that they don't do that. And then the
that's right.
doctors are breathing down the CA's neck of like, what'd you do wrong? But
Exactly.
it could have been, I mean, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, as you
Yes.
know. The most common things that I see is there's this transition, the handoff from the clinical report of findings to the CA doing the financials. But it's just like telling the patient, like, oh, go stop at the front desk and Susie CA is gonna get this handled for you.
Oh
And then there's
my.
a public conversation happening at the front desk on financials, which
Yeah.
no, that's a big no-no. And then the doctor's blaming the CA. The CA, CAs come and tell us stuff all the time, right,
Oh yeah, they
Kathy?
do. They
Oh,
do.
they tell them they're doctors and they're like, it's the doctor's fault. Like there was no handoff. I didn't know what the treatment plan was being recommended to the
Yeah.
patient. And there's all of this confusion. So really the effective communication and a clear lane of who's responsible for what at which
Yes.
time really needs to happen in practices.
Well, how about how could a CA even present a proper report of findings without the treatment plan? Because you've got to know this is what the insurance verification said. Here's what I know the portion may be of insurance, or if it's not, if it's cash. I got to know that before I can explain, the patient their options. One of the other things that I think is, I'm going to selfishly say my favorite part of the offerings that you have, largely because we use it here at KMC University, and that is your auto debit system. You know, we both may have been experienced enough in the day to have the little 3x5 index card box with the card, with the
The
credit
tickler
card
box.
number. Exactly. The credit card number. Oh, it's time to charge Holly. Let's get it out for everyone to see. And the rules have changed. I was just on a consultation yesterday with a doctor, and I was admitting, that in the 1980s, what we did was very different than what we can do now. We literally, like we were talking about, discounts, of course, and that sort of thing. But we were talking about how everybody signed a hardship agreement with their intake paperwork so we didn't have to charge their co-payments because we didn't know any better in 1983. And that's just what we did. And now, of course, times have definitely changed. But what I really, really appreciate, and I know my team does because candidly, I don't use it personally very much, but my team raves about that auto debit system. And I think having that comfort and that security to know that what you're making care affordable for the patient by creating a way for a monthly payment to happen. I don't go buy a car cash. I don't know a lot of people that do, but certainly I know what fits into my monthly budget as a payment, and what that system does and the way that it works integrated with your care plan calculator, I think is certainly a no-brainer for our practice to use to be safe and secure.
Thank you. Yeah, our care plan calculator is the system, the tool, the software that practices use to create these compliant care plans based upon the doctor's treatment plan recommendations. And it will itemize all of the services, producing a good faith estimate with all of the required compliance language in there. It's a multi-page service agreement for the patient's financial responsibilities, and then it gives them affordable payment options. And you mentioned one of those, monthly payment options. So the three payment options we give are the same three payment options people are buying cars, renting houses. You do a monthly payment. And
Mhm.
that's the first option. The second payment option is a larger down payment followed by smaller monthly payments. And then the third payment option is prepay. But we're giving them an incentive to enroll into a comprehensive program of care with compliant discounts applied, versus paying per visit. Because we all know what happens when patients pay per visit, they're
Oh
not
yeah.
as compliant as they should
No,
be, and you
no.
don't get good clinical outcomes. And then the doctors are wondering why'd the patient drop out even though they were feeling better? I thought they got the big idea. Well, it's because their insurance ran out. Now you told them it's time to pay again. So creating a frictionless payment experience is part of that process of having high patient retention, because when we can remove the thought of money and make it so that the front desk isn't a billing station every time the
Mhm.
patient leaves, and it turns into a health and wellness concierge station, right? It's a
Sure.
completely different experience. And so
Hmm.
we're big advocates of creating a frictionless payment experience for all payments, not just people who are on payment plans. This would be for their card is on file and they're purchasing supplements today. Hey, Kathy, I'm going to charge your card on file per your authorization, and it'll be $60, and I'll email the receipt to you. See you next
Love
Tuesday.
it. Love it.
So easy,
Frictionless.
frictionless.
Well, every time you get a chance to pull your credit card out, it's another chance to say no. And I
Yes.
think that's so incredibly critical. What do you have to say to people that will, and we've all heard this for so long, that will say, I don't want to be a salesperson. I feel like I'm just being a salesperson when I'm trying to convince them to do all this.
Oh, yeah. And I think there's so much to unpack here, but I'll try to keep it simple. When people feel salesy, it's because maybe the script or the training that they had is something that makes them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So this needs to be done with a natural process. You're taking the patient along a journey. You're showing them what their health is worth, not what their health costs. And
Oh,
so when
good.
you can change your mindset on that, the conversation is completely different.
I like
And
it.
I always like using um I always say to teams who come to me, they're like, oh, I just hate asking people for money. And I get that because I used to be that girl too, 20
Me
something years
too.
ago.
Yeah.
But you have to, I realized that I was carrying my own biases into these financial conversations. So I
Yes.
came off very like, do you want to? What do you think? And there was a lack of confidence. But when
Yes.
you can communicate, like, hey, Kathy, I'm so excited Dr. Bodson found that he can help you. We've helped lots of patients just like you. And I understand the goal of care is to be able to have more time with your grandkids and pick them up and blah, 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 blah. So, based upon your treatment plan recommendations, we've outlined the following program of care. The good news is we've applied your compliant discounts on the services not covered by your insurance. And then there's these three affordable payment options here. Which works best for you? So, delivering it with confidence is much
Yes.
more different than like, okay, so what are you thinking?
Mm-hmm. I know that for me, I've had this question over the years so much where someone's like, who's the best person to deliver the financial conversation, the doctor or the CA? And the curt answer is whoever's the best person to do
Whoever's the
it.
best. Yeah.
However, what I have noticed for myself, and this is in a lot of things, even in my own company to some degree, I never feel like I'm selling our services to somebody because what I know is they work. And so, as a CA, when I was explaining exactly what you're saying, and probably far less eloquent words than you are using, which I love that you're out there training people on this, is for all intent and purposes, I know chiropractic works and I know what it did for me. And for all of these reasons, I have no problem explaining exactly what you're saying. So I think sometimes, when the right person is not in the seat, it may be because they don't know if it's worth that. Well, I couldn't afford this. Therefore, how can I ask this person to do it? And then a doctor will say, well, what do I do? I don't have that person. What do you tell them then?
If they don't have that they need training. And Kathy,
Training.
as you and I know, they're not spending enough time on training. There
No
are some
way.
the practices that are rocking and rolling, they spend time on training. They have systems in place, they have
Hmm.
compliance in place. They know what they're doing. They know what their big vision is, and that's translated throughout the organization. But those
Yeah.
who are struggling, it's because they don't have enough time. Well, I take that back. It's not that they don't have enough time, they don't make the
Take
time.
enough time. Yes, I agree.
And when
Y-
patients value the care, then it's going over finances and helping them come up with how they're going to pay is easy. It's
yes.
just it's got to start the right way on day one.
With the doctor. Like the
Yes.
doctor needs as much training as anyone else if they're not used to that, because I'm absolutely certain they don't get it in school. And I'm 100% certain that unless they do training with a group like yours or, learn about certain things in their treatment planning and whatnot in groups like ours, they're just not equipped. And I think
And
that they're capable.
training is a dedicated time. Like here at our company, Cash Practice Systems, every Wednesday, today we're recording on a Wednesday. We just got out of a team-wide company training for an hour and 15 minutes every Wednesday. And we have a topic that we're training on. Yeah, Wednesday mornings are really busy for us, but we make the time to do it because if we don't, then things will get lost in translation. And
Yes,
at Cash Practice, we have hundreds of five-star customer reviews, and we're keeping that up. And we're able to do that because we put the time in. What training is not is a 10-minute team huddle in between patients. That is not
definitely
training.
not. No. And, like anything, I think there's what is it, 10,000 hours is what you hear about what makes somebody an expert at something. And even 42 years in this profession, I learn something new every day, and I'm grateful for it, certainly.
Oh, absolutely.
Just on a little bit of a different topic, we get here at KMC University, as we focus on documentation and coding and billing and compliance and Medicare and all those things, there's 100% crossover with finances, compliant finances, how documentation leads to finances. Oh, I'm a full spine adjuster. So therefore I can bill a 98941 or 42 every time. Those are financial conversations as much as they're compliance conversations. And so what we're seeing, certainly in our, large number of clients and customers, we have a lot of customers who come and say, I'm ready to be a cash-based practice, but I'm not sure they really understand what that means. And certainly the one area that tends to be the linchpin in all of this is Medicare. And now, of course, we add the layer of complication with Medicare Part C. But for the most part, I have a vision and a version of what cash-based practice means to me. How would you describe cash-based practice to someone who doesn't really know in a couple of sentences?
Okay, a cash-based practice doesn't mean that you've given up on insurance. It means you are not dependent upon insurance reimbursement in order to run your practice.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And from my perspective, I would add just a little suffix on that to say, and you move toward where maybe the majority of your money comes across the front counter
Yeah.
and or in your auto debit
Yes.
system, more importantly. But I think that's also because of the importance of when a provider embraces the concept of wellness and maintenance care, that is 100% cash. And when they say they want more cash in their practice, really all they have to do is retain patients, if
That's
that is
it.
their philosophy, right? So
That's the
I have,
magic. That's the secret sauce right there. Retain
it
more
is.
patients.
It is. Keep more patients to keep more cash. That's actually our theme of this year 2026. But one of the things I'll say, and I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts on this, is that there are definitely people who say, I'm not a wellness doctor. I release people when they're out of pain and send them on their merry way. And I know I've heard Dr. Miles speak on this, and I'm sure you're equally capable. But what do you say to doctors like that when they say, I don't need wellness, I don't want to do wellness, I don't believe in wellness,
Yeah,
as if
that
it can be believed in, right?
yeah, it's like a religion, right? Wellness
Yeah.
is so for that, like they're not our ideal clients. We only work with cash practice with the doctors whose business model is or they want it to be having patients with them for the lifetime of their practice.
Hmm.
That's our model. But those, yeah, I definitely have come across those doctors who are like, oh yeah, that's not my gig. That's fine that that's not your gig, but there's still things that you could do to be
Hmm.
compliant.
Yes.
There's still things that you can do to automate a lot of the systems, the operational efficiencies of your practice. So there's still things that you could do to help with retention because at the end of the day, chiropractors are in there to get good clinical results so patients can go live their lives. And if patients aren't fulfilling the treatment plan recommendations, whether the patient's with the doctor for 3 visits or 100 visits, it doesn't matter. If that patient doesn't show up, nobody's getting help.
Right. Yeah, and I really get that. And I know your wellness score is another great example of patient education, which we could do a whole other podcast on patient education, right? Because that I think is a big factor, obviously, in our profession. But one of the things I think would be interesting to explore is, you know, when you say don't give up on insurance, you know, I know that we have a lot of people that don't really understand that we can also help with the things we do with cash-based practice as well, for all the reasons you mentioned, Medicare compliance, et cetera.
Well, and Kathy, I
And
want to touch on that because a lot of the doctors, they again they hear our company name, Cash Practice. Oh yeah, I am a cash practice. I'm like, okay, so you don't see Medicare patients? Oh no, I see Medicare patients. You don't take PI or work comp? Oh no, I do that. And
yep,
I'm like, then you're not you're not a 100% cash practice. Like
mm-mm,
you don't
mm-mm.
know what the definition of being a cash-based practice means. So,
Yeah. I get that. Well, we're always grateful for our collaboration that we have. I think that, we are very complementary in the services that we offer in the profession, and I love our partnership. I just love to hear a little bit about when you think somebody can use KMC University, what are the reasons why you might send someone over here?
oh God, a lot of reasons. Number one, they are unclear on their fee schedules. They
Mm.
start saying, like, we'll ask them, well, what do you charge for a 98940? Do you mean my cash fee?
Oh,
My
yeah.
okay, right away, alarm bells, like, okay, so there's a learning opportunity there of like, hey, this could get you into some trouble.
Hmm.
Or they tell us like, well, in my EHR, it's listed as one thing here, but then we go do this big write-off, and I'm like, well, what is going on here? So like all of that, and I see you laugh, like it's almost it's not funny, but it is a little comical of like, oh my gosh, how do you not know this? You've been in practice 20 years and you're
Hmm.
today years old hearing this?
That's
Like,
right.
yeah. So, and I love that your focus this year is on keeping more cash
Hmm.
because that's what you guys help practices do. You're more than just the compliance and coding experts. You're more than just the library of information. You're more than just the training. You give so much value to these practices and insight to see where these cracks are in their current operations and
Yeah.
where you can help them. And when you help them, it helps them generate more revenue and keeps them compliant. So at the end of the day, they can deliver their best care and then have peace of mind.
Boy, isn't that true? I think that is actually one of our pieces in our mission is to bring peace of mind to the business side of practice. And to your point about who your ideal client is, we have as our ideal client or customer is providers and their teams who want to ethically keep more cash and avoid unnecessary risk, because the ethically is a big piece. And not that we're going to, kick somebody out because they look shady, but they might not know any better. And if we can help them and we can push them in the right direction, I think that's great.
And I think
Well,
that's what both of our companies do, Kathy, is, we're talking about the all of the stuff that we hear that's not compliant and how we can best serve people,
mhm,
but they don't know what they don't know, right? they're
100%.
they're they're in a Facebook group, they're hearing it from their buddy down the street, like they're just hearing misinformation, which is
Yes.
why they need to come to experts like KMC University or Cash Practice Systems, because we work together to be rock solid for them and to help them without judgment. Like we're laughing about it, like, oh, these are the things that we hear, but it's a judgment-free zone. We're not tattletales. We're not the
No,
compliance police. We just
no.
want to help people.
I like to say I don't wear judges' robes. I don't look good in black. Yeah. We are not here to judge you. Well, if anyone listening here today would like to learn a little bit more about what you do, what's the best way for them to reach out?
They should go to cashpractice.com/KMCU for KMC University. Cashpractice.com/KMCU.
That's awesome. And in our world, definitely reach out to info@kmcuniversity.com. Tell them you heard about this podcast, and we'll be delighted to point you in the right direction as well. Holly, thank you, my dear. We need to do this more often. I certainly enjoy you.
We absolutely should. And by the way, as we close, I Can you tell me about Carnegie Hall?
That's always my secret. Well, when you play these games at events and they'll say, you have to write something on a piece of paper that if you knew me, you would know. And so sometimes it's mine that I've sung in Carnegie Hall. And so then you have to go around and meet everybody. It's a great way to meet people at an event. And that's sometimes I have a couple in my bag too, but that's one of my secrets. But yeah, that was quite an honor for me to be in a very large choir that sang with Metropolitan Opera singers, and one of the highlights of my life. Certainly, it was amazing.
Ah, I love it. I want to hear you someday. Maybe you could sing like a KMCU video one day.
Well, we should do that
Yeah.
maybe. I'll need maybe some beverages. We'll see. We'll see if we have to do that first. But I know our paths will cross in person soon. I sure do love you, and I'm so happy that you were our guest here today. Thank you so much.
Much love to you. Mwah.
Mwah.